Do you see your streets empty? Do you see your city closed? The sin has been rampant for too long, and the cup of God's wrath has filled up.
Yes. Blessings, blessings, blessings. Welcome to Uncensored Enlightenment Talk. And you're here with Grace Levi. Yes, yes, yes. Today we have a live. I'm coming to you live from the studio. Today we're going to be showing you a brief presentation and update on what's been going on with Miss Tiffany Henyard, our Superman. The house of cards is falling down, and that's why she needs to repent. So today we're going to do the long version live with you guys of a breakdown of many clips, just to get you up to par what's going on now. Okay, tomorrow we're gonna release a short version, and this weekend, you know how we do. We're gonna do our trending topics, and we're definitely gonna do some commentary. So tonight, I want to say blessings to you. Thank you for being here with Grace Levi. We're gonna get the presentation started quickly. Okay. It's having some technical difficulties, but don't worry. We're going to get it started. Let's go.
I could not be here breathing and be comfortable if I was really as bad as they was making it. You know, nobody could be around. So for me to be this calm, I must have some kind of inner peace. And my inner peace is knowing that when everybody takes the time to really see what type of person I am, you'd be surprised that I stuck around this long. I have to make the life that I do live as happy as I can and try to do the best with what I have. You know, live the best life I can live, be as happy as I can be. There's nothing perfect for anybody. Goals, I swear, I think I figured it out. You know why? I don't want us redneck brothers and sisters and the hood brothers and sisters getting along. You know why? Because we be unstoppable. I'm telling you right now, we would shut shit down.
All the trustees walked out because they couldn't have their way. And that's not how government works. Government works like this: good, bad, or indifferent. We work together. We put on a good collective front for the public, and that's not in the back. But yet, people come here for a scratch and show.
New X making a political statement with some disco in South Suburban Dalton. Take a listen.
How y'all doing? Ain't no stopping us now.
All right, karaoke night apparently at City Hall. That's Dalton Mayor Tiffany Henyard kicking off tonight's board meeting with her rendition of the 1979 hit Ain't No Stopping Us Now. The reason for the throwback jam? An appellate court ruling threw out a June recall vote that would have removed Henyard from office.
The village of Dalton's mayor and her allies have been under scrutiny for questionable spending and mounting the...
This has to stop. She cannot continue to intimidate and gangster her way through this.
We are not mayor and her allies because they refuse to let
Silo Tiffany take our community.
As you can see, our village, our community, we are really happy. It's a shame that people can come to meetings and just tell one side of the story and not get the entire side of the story.
In February, the board approved a resolution calling for an investigation into Henyard and for spending of village funds, something vetoed by the mayor weeks later and tabled for a later time. The mayor facing claims she misused village funds, improperly appointed employees, spent money on unapproved services, and withheld financial records from the Board of Trustees. Board of Trustees members in attendance tonight discussed several agenda items. Those include the reportedly dire financial state of the village, financial concerns once again at the forefront.
I just want to reiterate to everyone, we are in bad shape.
Some trustees begging the state to step in and help.
Who's going to save us? Somebody has to save Dalton. You guys get everything that we have. We send an email, you get the financial reports, you get everything, and I've shown that in videos. Now you want me to go do some homework and show you again that you get what we feel you should have.
We begin with the FBI at Dalton Village Hall. Elizabeth Matthews reports many in the south suburbs believe this is only the tip of the iceberg. Elizabeth.
John, the mayor here has been accused of misusing funds. The mayor and a trustee are being sued for an alleged sexual assault against a former village employee. The village administrator now facing bankruptcy fraud charges. And today, this afternoon, federal agents popping in Village Hall looking for some information.
The house of cards are collapsing. I think the government is taking action.
This has to stop. She cannot continue to intimidate and gangster her way through this.
We're not giving up because we refuse to let Tahoe Tiffany take our community.
Illinois Attorney General has ordered the Village of Dalton to turn over financial records to WGN News related to Mayor Tiffany Henyard's spending Dalton and Thornton Township. It first reported last year that Henyard used thousands of dollars in taxpayer money on first-class plane tickets, luxury hotels, and fancy restaurants. WGN Investigates filed a public records request to see if the spending spree continued and for any payments Henyard had received. Dalton denied that request. In a rare binding opinion, the AG's office ordered the village to comply within 35 days or contest the opinion in court. Dalton's village administrator did not respond to a request for comment.
No, you're not.
The grown-up thing would be for her to resign. Just get out of here, leave town. But she's not going to do that. You have disgraced this entire village and also disrespected each and every one of us.
In a special board meeting tonight, Dalton trustees voting to investigate controversial Mayor Tiffany Henyard. This comes as we have learned federal agents are investigating her and allegations of corruption.
Our Elizabeth Matthews was inside that heated board meeting. She's live in Dalton. Elizabeth.
Scott and Don, one trustee is saying tonight that this is their last resort, their last stance. They cannot continue to stand by and see millions of dollars wasted. Tiffany Henyard didn't show up in person, but she was brought up in conversation and a vote.
Motion passed for resolution number 24-002, calling for investigation of Mayor Tiffany Henyard.
The 4-trustee majority voting unanimously to call for an investigation into Henyard and what they say is the misuse of funds.
The Board of Trustees has repeatedly asked for financial information that we feel is entitled and has been denied that information. So we feel that we need to get intervention from somebody that can force this kind of action.
Who are you asking for that intervention? What bodies?
We're asking the FBI, State's Attorney, Attorney General, and Cook County Sheriff's Office.
Henyard became mayor in 2021, and for at least 2 of the 3 years, Fox 32 has been reporting on allegations of corruption in her capacity as mayor and Thornton Township supervisor. Concerns have led to trustees calling special meetings to get things done.
This meeting is an attempt for this legislative board to save Dalton.
They voted on items including asking for receipts for the mayor's trips,
and getting keys to Village Hall.
This has been a stain on our community. It's no way that we should be locked out of a place where we pay taxes.
Residents in attendance approving of the board's stance.
This has to stop. She cannot continue to intimidate and gangster her way through this.
We're not giving up because we refuse to let Tahoe Tiffany take our community.
I did reach out to the mayor for comment tonight. I didn't hear back from her, but through a PR company, I did hear back from the village administrator, Keith Friedman. He says in a statement, quote, "This is just another example of a few trustees in the village of Dalton spreading lies and false allegations. These are the same trustees that cut the public safety budget by $3.8 million, eliminated the bond for garbage removal, and have charged over $5 million in frivolous lawsuits that the Dalton taxpayers are stuck with the tab. The residents deserve better than this circus." Now, if the mayor vetoes this resolution to investigate herself, if she decides to veto that, the board tells me they will override her veto. Live in Dalton, Elizabeth Matthews, Fox 32, Chicago.
Dalton's controversial mayor, Tiffany Henyard, is resisting calls to look into her spending. At the village board meeting Monday night, the Dalton mayor vetoed a resolution passed by the board to investigate her spending. Last month, the board passed a resolution that required Henyard to turn in the village's financial records and called for an investigation by the FBI. Now, several Fox 32 reports have uncovered multiple allegations of corruption in her capacity as mayor and as Thornton Township supervisor. The mayor took issue with what she called attacks on her.
As you can see, our village, our community, we are under attack. It's a shame that people can come to meetings and just tell one-sided stories and not get the entire side of both stories.
The Daily Southtown reports the trustees can vote to override the mayor's veto next month, and we have confirmed the FBI is questioning people as part of an ongoing investigation into Henyard.
The village of Dalton's mayor and her allies have been under scrutiny for questionable spending and mounting bills.
And as those discussions go on, community members joined tonight at a special board meeting. Janice Courtney Spinelli is joining us from the Dalton Park District with more from the meeting. Courtney.
Ray and Jenna, good evening. Board of Trustees members in attendance tonight discussed several agenda items. Those include the reportedly dire financial state of the village, as well as new allegations into alleged sexual misconduct by a trustee.
So we're trying to create normalcy even throughout challenging times.
A canceled regular board meeting forcing some trustees to call a special board meeting Thursday. Financial concerns once again at the forefront.
I just want to reiterate to everyone, we are in bad shape.
In February, the board approved a resolution calling for an investigation into Henyard and her spending of village funds, something vetoed by the mayor weeks later and tabled for a later time. The mayor facing claims she misused village funds, improperly appointed employees, spent money on unapproved services, and withheld financial records from the board of trustees.
We're in March of 2024. We have no idea how much debt we're really in.
Some trustees begging the state to step in and help.
Who's going to save us? Somebody has to save Dalton.
Also on the agenda Thursday, discussion of an alleged incident that happened on a taxpayer-funded trip to Vegas. A pair of complaints filed with the Illinois Department of Human Rights accuse a Dalton trustee of sexual misconduct on a village employee. It came up during Thursday's meeting.
There are terrible allegations that many people are aware of.
The board Thursday asking for information on any independent investigations into the claims, including any findings. The accused trustee previously telling WGN Investigates he denies the allegations and says he was just trying to help a colleague, while the village also denies claims it retaliated against the former Henyard aide and a police officer after reporting the possible sexual misconduct.
As at this moment, I'm left to believe that no investigation really occurred, which I think is very frightening and dangerous.
Some community members echoing concerns over the allegations, with several calling on the unnamed trustee to step aside during any potential investigation.
And I do not, and I hope the rest of you agree with me, do not want him sitting there representing me or my village. Thank you.
Now, we are not identifying the accused trustee because no charges have been filed against him. As for the resolution calling for an investigation into Mayor Tiffany Henyard, something she vetoed at a regular board meeting several weeks ago, we do know that trustees plan to put that back on the table and plan to override her veto at the next regular board meeting. Reporting live in Dalton, Courtney Spinelli, WGN News.
All right, thanks, Courtney.
Tonight, in South Suburban Dalton, residents got the chance to address the controversy surrounding embattled Mayor Tiffany Henyard. Complaints include sexual harassment, retaliation, and discrimination, and a controversial trip to Las Vegas last May. NBC5's Regina Waldrop was at tonight's meeting in Dalton.
A concerned community seeking answers.
I know you're going to ask for an investigation. I'm hoping that means the administration will have nothing to do with it.
Mayor Tiffany Henyard was absent from this special Dalton Village Board meeting. She and a village trustee who is not named are at the center of an investigation by the Illinois Department of Human Rights. The probe is focused on what allegedly happened on an economic development trip to Las Vegas last May. Henyard's former assistant who filed this complaint claims she was sexually assaulted by an unnamed Dalton trustee on that trip. We're not naming the woman because NBC5 does not name people who possibly were a victim of sexual assault. In a statement, the village told NBC5 it conducted a thorough investigation into these allegations led by an independent third-party company. The statement goes on to say this is nothing more than a disgruntled village employee trying to make off with the taxpayers' hard-earned dollars. Trustee Jason House says the village board knew nothing about that investigation and are now asking for their own independent investigation into what happened on that trip to Vegas.
We are also seeking direction to ask our attorney to find an independent body that has subpoena authority to conduct an investigation. So that way we know it's independent, it's thorough. We really feel like this puts the village at complete jeopardy because this trip, this was a village paid for trip.
And when it comes to finances, trustees who were here tonight say they recently won a court case getting the clerk's name back on the village bank account. They say it had been improperly removed. The next Dalton Village Board meeting is set for April 1st. Regina Waldrop, NBC5 News.
A village board meeting in Dalton tonight starts late and ends early. The mayor herself described it as chaos.
And questions about her performance did not get answered. WGN's Jenna Barnes is live tonight from Dalton with the story. Jenna?
Yeah, Ray and Mikey, you summed it up pretty well there. The challenges tonight began even before the meeting started when members of the community were kept out of the building.
It's over. We are sick and tired of not being able to get into this building.
The regularly scheduled Dalton Board of Trustees meeting was supposed to start at 6:30. It didn't begin until just after 7:20. The members of the public that were allowed in walked through metal detectors and they were bonded. That's a departure from what we've seen in the past. The deputy police chief said the delay was because of what he called credible threats. Not everyone, though, was allowed inside. The chance of let us in coming from the outside often overpowered the people speaking. The outrage in this community stems from the ongoing scrutiny of Mayor Tiffany Henyard's handling of village finances, and more recently, accusations of sexual misconduct by a village trustee on a taxpayer-funded trip to Las Vegas. Tonight, some of the other trustees who were calling for an FBI investigation into the mayor's spending were planning to override her veto of the resolution calling for just that. But the meeting didn't even get that far. Those trustees who don't support the mayor moved to postpone the meeting because of all of the people who were stuck outside.
The meeting was adjourned because we have to have enough space. So we have to, the Open Meetings Act requires that that we have enough space for everybody to get in. Because of that, I feel we have a lot of outrage going on out there, and we want to be able to provide the space to people that they are looking for.
As you just saw, is chaos among our 4 trustees. They didn't come here to handle the business. They came here to do a political theater stunt, which you just saw. We didn't get through any business as it relates to a scheduled board meeting here in our village, which we're supposed to do. But yeah, everybody cried about meetings and we should have more. Why have more meetings when it's going to just be chaotic like this?
You could see there, even after the trustees left, the mayor continued with the meeting. And then the deputy police chief announced there was a safety issue and police began clearing the room, effectively ending the meeting. The trustees say the meeting will be held next Monday, a week from tonight, at the Park District, which is a larger venue, and it can hold more people. We're live in Dalton tonight. Jenna Barnes, WGN News.
That frustration is coming from members of the public as well as Dalton Village trustees. The regularly scheduled meeting was supposed to start at 6:30 yesterday, but it ended up not starting until 7:20 p.m. The police chief saying a credible threat forced police to use wands and metal detectors on people coming into the building. Now, this was supposed to be a meeting where some Dalton Village trustees had planned to override Mayor Tiffany Henyard's veto of the resolution that called for an FBI investigation into accusations of her handling the village finances, as well as accusations of sexual misconduct by a village trustee on a taxpayer-funded trip to Las Vegas. However, none of that happened. Instead, village trustees who don't support Mayor Henyard walked out and moved to postpone the meeting because people were stuck outside. There was a lot of frustration coming from both members of the public as well as Dalton Village trustees. Now, Dalton's latest meeting ended before some trustees could even vote on making an FBI investigation into Mayor Henyard's village trustees said that they left early due to the fact that people couldn't even get inside.
Everyone's frustrated. You're violating the ordinances, you're violating the residents' rights. They deserve, this is their house. This is the residents' home. Anytime you can't come in, it's a problem.
This is crazy. This is horrible what the mayor is doing to our town. And the residents, as you see, we're standing up. We're not going to take this.
We are sick and tired of not being able to get into this building. It's a taxpayer's building. She does not own this building. The board has a right to have meetings here, whether she wants to have a meeting or not.
Now, we don't know if the mayor ended up trying to continue that meeting. It eventually ended with the police, deputy police chief announcing that there was a safety issue. The police actually cleared the building. In the meantime, trustees are telling us there will be another meeting held on Monday at the Park District, a venue that can house more people. Back to you guys in the studio.
You guys get everything that we have. We send an email, you get the financial reports, you get everything, and I've shown that in videos. Now you want me to go do some more work and show you again that you get what we tell you you should have. Now, as relates to transparency, we have been nothing but transparent here at the Village of Dalton.
Now to some frustration that's growing for residents in South Suburban Dalton. For months, they've had questions about spending in the mayor's office, and they packed a city meeting last night. Today, those residents now have only limited access to their village hall. Regina Waldrop reports on their search for answers.
Village halls are public buildings, administrative centers run for the benefit of a community. In South Suburban Dalton, most of the village hall is now off limits. This small entryway with 4 seats, the only place residents and business owners are allowed.
An insult to every single taxpayer in the city.
Dan Lee has lived in Dalton since 1989. He and several other residents gathered outside of Village Hall Tuesday afternoon. They say the new restrictions are just part of the ongoing issues with Mayor Tiffany Henyard and her administration.
I feel that this is a deflection from what's really happening in the village with the money, what happened in Vegas.
I came up here to get some FOIA requests, and I had to wait for somebody to come to the window.
Trustee Kiana Belcher says she learned about the new restrictions last week on social media.
Myself and another trustee came up here saying that it says it's restricted access, employees only, and they have it where at the time there wasn't even any chairs.
In a statement, the village told NBC5 access to Village Hall was restructured to protect staff due to overwhelming threats of violence as a result of the continuous misinformation portrayed by the media and internet bloggers who are using Dalton as a means to generate ratings and revenue. The statement goes on to say staff and elected officials have received several disturbing communications via email, social media, phone calls, and visitors from across the country. As such, security protocols have changed.
If there was any type of threats, we have police officers, so they should be able to accommodate and stand over here, but to limit the access for everyday business that has to be taken care of, it's a problem. This is our tax dollars.
The residents say they plan to bring up the issue of Village Hall being restricted along with other issues come Monday. That's for the next village board meeting. Reporting from Dalton, I'm Regina Waldrop, NBC5 News.
When did Village Hall close or become restricted to residents?
I learned about it as of Tuesday. Tuesday, they stated that, and I seen it on social media, that the Village Hall had been closed. So I actually, myself and another trustee came up here saying that
it says it's restricted access, employees only, and they have it where at the time there wasn't even any chairs, so limited, about 4 or 5 people can stand in a small area.
Still very limited.
Yes, it's very limited. It makes no sense. This is not nobody's public home. This is our business, our village. And for if there was any type of threats, we have police officers, so they should be able to accommodate and stand over here as if it was another public facility where they can manage it. But to limit the access for everyday business that has to be taken care of, it's a problem. This is our tax dollars. And when somebody continues to run from the citizens, because that's what you're doing now. You're running from the people and you're supposed to be serving the people. I consider that a big problem. And this is a safety hazard because if 4 or 5 people goes into that small space and anything can happen in that space, there's another issue. We have a lot of seniors out here, and to have seniors standing outside in the cold and the rain, it's just not cool.
Are you hearing from a lot of your constituents?
I am. And the crazy thing is a lot of them that come here, they come either to pay the water bill or come to have services for their homes. Now they have to wait until somebody goes and fill out some papers and bring it back and spy something through a small glass. It's like you're in prison. And why should we be in prison in our own community?
Will you bring this up in the next village board meeting or what?
Absolutely, because I'm gonna bring up a lot of things that happened last night also, because we had seniors that were standing outside when they had people planted inside before the village trustees even were in there.
And that's April 8th, Monday, right?
Yes, April 8th at 6:30.
Thank you so much.
No problem, thank you.
Appreciate it.
I've been here 26 years.
Have you ever seen village hall not access?
Never in the 26 years. And this is unacceptable. I piggyback on everything the trustee just said. This is just totally uncalled for. If there is a viable threat, we in the community should know it. It could extend further than here. Just as last night, we should have been told, so we had the option to decide for ourselves whether we wanted to be in there.
So you spend a lot of time in this village hall. It is a public building. How do you feel right now knowing that access is restricted to you and other residents?
I'm appalled that the access is restricted to the residents. MB Bank gave this building to the residents. Matter of fact, myself, former trustee Pearson and former trustee Muhammad voted to receive this building, and Mayor Tiffany Henyard voted against it. And to have limited access, when I heard of it last week, I came up here to get some FOIA requests, and I had to wait for somebody to come to the window, ask me what I wanted, and to just receive some FOIA requests. And if I needed to take care of any other business, you have to wait until somebody go get somebody to come up front to address your concerns. And I think it's appalling. And what happened last night, I'm appalled that happened also, because this building belonged to the residents of the village of Dalton, not Ms. Henyard, nor Keith Freeman, nor Lacey, none of them. And it's unfortunate that we have to keep going through this. And I wish and I pray that somebody come to our aid. This is bullying to the 10th power. And we stood up last night because we refused to be bullied anymore by the Dalton Police Department and Louis Lacey, and be intimidated with stopping people, asking them for their ID. And that's against all our First Amendment rights. And like I stated before, you're not going to keep violating my rights. And so I was glad to see everybody out last night. Hopefully everybody will come out to Monday's meeting and we can get some type of clarity on this, because our rights are constantly being violated and no one is doing anything about it. I want to see the state's attorney, the attorney general, the president of the United States, since she went to see him, come out here and deal with this chaos, because this is ridiculous. And in my 40-some years of being involved in politics, I've never seen anything like this in my life. Mayor Tiffany Henyard, I hate even calling her a mayor, because like they said, that she is the world's worst mayor on earth. And I would like to see her step down also. Thank you.
I bought my home in 2006.
You
Yes.
cleaning out the village hall all the time doing business?
Yes, I do. Yeah. in and out, and this is not acceptable what's happening, but I feel that this is a deflection from what's really happening in the village with the money, what happened in Vegas. So she's trying to deflect. No one is after the mayor. Nobody is after the mayor at all.
Should you be able to go in and access this public building?
Absolutely. This is a government building. We should be able to go in and out and have access. That doesn't make sense. What am I paying the taxes out here for if I don't even have access to the building, to my village? And then they say you're supposed to call, they don't even answer the phone. How about that? So I don't see how people are going to get business, any business done. What about the contractors that come through to try to do business? This is not how government is supposed to be ran.
Not good government.
No, no good at all. Thank you.
Last week's meeting was marred by chaos, ending early when 4 village trustees walked out. In the days that followed, those trustees moved to hire former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot as additional counsel to look into allegations against Dalton Mayor Tiffany Henyard, who is facing multiple lawsuits. That contract with Lightfoot is up for discussion tonight, but we've obtained a letter sent by the appointed village prosecutor, Michael Delgado, to the current legal team for the Board of Trustees, stating that such a move exceeds the board's authority and would violate village code. We expect it to be a hot topic tonight. Most recently, a former employee accused Henyard of retaliation after she says she was sexually assaulted by a village trustee during a work trip to Las Vegas last year and was then fired after speaking up. Henyard is also accused of mismanaging village funds. Then, last month, the board attempted to launch an investigation into her spending, but Henyard vetoed the investigation into herself. Tonight's meeting is set for 6:30 here at the Lester Long Fieldhouse. It is expected to take place in a larger room, as dozens of community members could not get in last week because of limited space. Reporting live in Dalton, Casey Cronus, Fox 32, Chicago. And I'm Casey Cronus, live in South Suburban Dalton, where a highly anticipated meeting ends in the hiring of former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot. She is now tasked with investigating the village's embattled mayor, Tiffany Henyard, who did not show up tonight.
She has more authority to get what we're missing to seal this deal and take our community back.
Lightfoot starts her new role as special investigator for the village of Dalton tomorrow. She will be launching a probe into Henyard's mishandling of village funds. A trustee tonight says the village is more than $7 million in debt. Henyard last month vetoed calls for an investigation into herself, but that was overturned tonight. Lightfoot has also been asked to investigate a work trip to Las Vegas last year, which resulted in a former employee alleging she was sexually assaulted by a village trustee, then fired for speaking up. That trustee was one of 2 not in attendance tonight, along with Henyard. The move to hire Lightfoot was made by 4 village trustees who say they are looking to take their community back. Earlier today, Michael Delgado, who was hired by Mayor Henyard as the village's prosecutor, sent a letter to the legal team representing the trustees, stating that if Lightfoot is appointed as additional legislative counsel, it would violate code, and Henyard will not approve any payments to the former Chicago mayor, claiming her appointment would violate the law because the trustees already have an attorney. Tonight, Bert Odelson, one of the lawyers for the trustees, responded, saying that to avoid another lawsuit, they wouldn't move to appoint Lightfoot as additional counsel, rather a special investigator.
I commit to you that I will follow the facts where they lead without bias. At the conclusion of this investigation, I will provide an assessment of the findings and the recommendations. And I welcome and urge the full cooperation by Mayor Henyard, her staff, all village trustees, vendors, and others.
This board specifically, as Nate reaches to the state's attorney, attorney general, governor's office, and as we know, there are ongoing, well, it's been reported that there's ongoing investigations from federal entities. those entities, as we know, can take anywhere from 2 months to 5 years. So we feel this option will give us an independent process.
We have reached out to Henyard and her team for comment, but have not yet heard back. This job for Lightfoot comes with a paycheck of $400 an hour. The trustees here tonight say it will be capped at $30,000 when they will then check in and reassess her role. Live in the village of Dalton, Casey Cronus, Fox 32, Chicago.
Everybody wanted to continue to be a show and not really show facts as relates to what's really going on in our township.
And here we go, another contentious night for Tiffany Henyard at the annual Thornton Township meeting. Henyard is township supervisor, but tonight she was challenged by board members and the public. She was booed loudly at several points during tonight's meeting. Henyard said it's not fair for residents to ask so many questions in the township when she says they don't ask them in other communities. And thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Scott Schneider.
And I'm Dawn Hasbrook. More controversy in Dalton. This time it involves a well-known activist.
Tonight, our Dane Placco off the top with the bombshell details in a brand new lawsuit.
Andrew Holmes has been a familiar face in Chicago for years, well known for his work as a community activist helping crime victims and police. But now Holmes is being accused of a crime himself, sexual assault, in a civil lawsuit filed by a former employee of the village of Dalton and a Dalton police officer. In addition to his work as a community activist, Holmes serves as a trustee for the village of Dalton. The civil lawsuit against the village of Dalton, Thornton Township, Tiffany Henyard, and Holmes himself alleges that Holmes sexually assaulted a Dalton village employee who we're not naming because of the nature of the alleged crime, while on a village business trip to Las Vegas in May of 2023. According to the lawsuit, the employee had drinks with Holmes, whom she thought of as an uncle, began to feel disoriented, then passed out in Holmes' hotel room. The lawsuit alleges Holmes then called Dalton police officer Byron Miles, who was on the trip as part of Mayor Tiffany Henyard's security detail. According to the lawsuit, quote, Holmes began describing a host of his exploits from the trip, many of a sexual nature, to Officer Miles. At some point during his rant, Trustee Holmes made reference to him engaging in sexual activities with a Dalton Thornton employee, and there was some suggestion that the employee may not have had the ability to consent and or did not provide consent. The lawsuit says Officer Miles then began recording the phone call and FaceTimed Holmes. Trustee Holmes then panned the camera toward the bed where Officer Miles could see a woman who was partially undressed. The trustee then moved the camera to various private areas of the woman's body, displaying them on screen, and at times moving or removing articles of clothing as he transmitted the images. The lawsuit alleges when the woman woke up, she couldn't remember anything that happened the night before and was not aware of the alleged assault until informed by Officer Miles when they returned to Dalton. Quoting the lawsuit, at some point during that time, Trustee Holmes was in communication with Officer Miles, and again Trustee Holmes made reference to his exploits in Las Vegas. Trustee Holmes further advised Officer Miles at that time that he had unprotected sex with the female employee while in Las Vegas. The lawsuit alleges that when the officer told the woman what happened, she requested to speak to Mayor Henyard, who was allegedly concerned it could hurt her politically. The lawsuit says Henyard then advised the employee that if the information got out, Henyard would be ruined and all of the work she had done would be lost. Despite assurances that Henyard and then Henyard's boyfriend would handle the situation, the lawsuit alleges the female employee was eventually fired by the village of Dalton. Officer Miles still works for Dalton, but alleges his duties were diminished and he faced retaliation at work. We spoke briefly to Holmes this afternoon by phone, who said he had no response at this time. Not to these allegations. I'm not bothered by it. Las Vegas police have reportedly opened an investigation into the accusations against Holmes. On Monday, the 4 Dalton trustees, in opposition to Henyard, hired former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot to conduct an investigation into allegations of corruption in Dalton, including what happened on that trip to Las Vegas. Now, in January, the plaintiffs filed a claim with the Illinois Department of Human Rights outlining the same allegations. That claim has now been withdrawn with the filing of this lawsuit. So far, we've not received any response from Henyard or the Village of Dalton. Dane Placco, Fox 32, Chicago.
As WGN Investigates was first to report today, a top aide to Dalton Mayor Tiffany Henyard has been indicted for bankruptcy fraud. It comes amid ongoing questions about Henyard's spending and leadership.
And legal experts say it could be the first sign that the feds are trying to get people to share what they know about potential government corruption in the South suburbs.
Let's be smarter than that. This is not just the price is right.
Despite sitting next to Dalton Mayor Tiffany Henyard at countless meetings, the feds allege Keith Freeman not only failed to report his income from the village, he actively lied about it. Freeman is Henyard's top aide in both Dalton and Thornton Township. As part of a personal bankruptcy case, he was required to report his earnings. But this indictment on one count of bankruptcy fraud says Freeman falsely stated he only worked for the township and made just over $99,000 last year. Prosecutors say he tried to hide his Dalton earnings via a pass-through company, which brought his income to $195,000 last year. They further allege the village of Robbins has a claim against Freeman for more than $90,000 he took without authorization from a previous post he held as village administrator there.
This is long coming. If a person can lie on their own financials, what do you think they're doing for the village? Nobody is untouchable. That's what I want to say. Nobody is untouchable. So if this is just the first domino to all of them falling, let it happen.
Ooh, Big Red, how you doing?
Freeman is a key player in our reporting on Tiffany Henyard because of how many roles he plays for her. In addition to the Dalton and Township jobs, Freeman also, for a time, was the registered agent of the Tiffany Henyard Cares Foundation.
But there's no foundation in the state of Illinois moving like we move, moving like we go. Right there.
While Henyard's namesake charity claims to help cancer patients, WGN Investigates has reported it received most of its early money from taxpayers and has failed to file required paperwork showing how it spends its money. How do you know it's all my emails?
There you go. There you go. There you go. That's all you get from me. That's all you get from me today.
How come the charity hasn't filed its financial disclosures about how money is spent?
I want to know that. That's a good question.
For months, WGN Investigates has reported on questionable conduct on Henyard's watch, including unexplained travel, including first-class airfare and fine dining on the taxpayer's dime. Credit card statements show Freeman was on many of the trips, including one to Las Vegas, where another Henyard aide now claims a Dalton trustee sexually assaulted her. Others accuse Henyard of using Freeman and other government employees to retaliate against her opponents. Court watchers say the feds could use the bankruptcy charge against Freeman to get him to cooperate in other investigations.
When the feds are looking at a larger scheme or relationship, oftentimes what they have to do is go for people who are below or the lower part of the food chain, get them for something, charge them with something, because that's the leverage they need to be able to sit down with that person and say, now, if you help us, life might be good for you. If you don't help us, you're in a lot of trouble. Now, what do you want to do?
So I said, one down, about 25 more to go. And if he can't handle his own business, how in the world can he handle ours?
Freeman has been a close ally of embattled Mayor Tiffany Henyard. Longtime residents and frustrated leaders of Dalton say this federal fraud charge against Administrator Keith Freeman is a relief.
You know, we've been waiting for some justice to be served.
At the next board meeting, if he show up, I'll ask him to step down again because he's an embarrassment to this community.
No comment this afternoon from Keith Freeman. His boss, Tiffany Henyard, said through a spokesperson that she's aware of the indictment but won't comment due to the ongoing investigation. So we don't know whether taxpayers will continue paying Freeman's 2 salaries despite today's bankruptcy fraud charge.
Cheryl, Keith Freeman is facing a federal charge, but he is not, we're told by the U.S. Attorney's Office in Chicago, in federal custody tonight. But people here at Dalton Village Hall say they haven't seen him either since word of that indictment dropped just a few hours ago.
The man responsible for running the day-to-day in neighboring South suburban communities is now under federal indictment. Federal prosecutors say Keith Freeman, the village administrator in both Dalton and Thornton Township, repeatedly lied when he filed for bankruptcy earlier this year. The indictment says it was in part his title and salary in Dalton that was central to Freeman's lies to the feds. Dalton trustees say Freeman's position at Village Hall has been a question for some time.
It was a lot of controversy on whether or not he was an employee or if he was contracted. Now they're saying that he didn't list this information, so that's a problem.
In the indictment, prosecutors say Keith Freeman, quote, made several false statements and omissions in the document, including knowingly underreporting income from his employment as both the village administrator for Dalton and the municipality manager for Thornton Township. And prosecutors say Freeman lied under oath, claiming, quote, he was not an employee of Dalton and that he did not receive a payment from Dalton. A month later, the indictment says his Dalton paycheck went directly into an undisclosed bank account.
We have repeatedly tried to reach Keith Freeman by phone over the past few hours, but all of those calls have gone directly to voicemail. The U.S. Attorney's Office in Chicago says Freeman will be scheduled for an arraignment before a federal judge at a future date.
We begin here at 6 with breaking news. FBI activity at the troubled Village Hall in Dalton. CBS 2's Jamont Terry is live there now with what we're learning. Jamont.
Erica, the buzz tonight here in South Suburban Dalton is about the feds, specifically the FBI coming into Village Hall behind me this afternoon. It's not clear how long they were inside, but we do know they came with some warrants, with some court papers to serve some subpoenas. I give you some video. It shows the officers, 4 federal agents, came to the Dalton Village Hall and what the FBI calls court-authorized activity. The agents were told, we are told, went right to the basement looking for records. The FBI spokesperson will only say it's, quote, an investigative activity. Now, Chopper 2 was over the scene this afternoon, moments after word got out in this village that the feds were in the Village Hall. Controversy has clouded the South suburb for quite some time under allegations of mismanagement and questions about spending. We've reached out to some various Dalton officials, and we actually just talked to one of the trustees about the situation. You're going to hear from her coming up at 10. But at the center of much of the controversy and concern has been Mayor Tiffany Henyard. She's been in office since 2021, and large signs and many of the issues that they've had is about her lacking transparency and not knowing about how the money has been spent here in the village. But back here live at 6 o'clock, right now, there's one single police vehicle outside of Village Hall. Again, the feds came in. Exactly why they came in, the specifics still under investigation, but it has most definitely caught the attention of many of the residents here who have been calling for some type of action, and we wait to see exactly what that action was about. Reporting live in South Suburban Dalton tonight, Jamont Terry, CBS 2 News. Erica?
All right, Jamont, thank you.
Let's talk about the corruption claims in South Suburban Dalton. Apparently, they're getting the attention of the FBI. Federal agents were seen entering Village Hall today in what the Bureau calls a court-ordered law enforcement activity. NBC5's Natalie Martinez live tonight in Dalton talking to village trustees about this surprise search. Natalie?
Stefan, those trustees say their cries have been answered and now they're asking for a new administration. What exactly brought the FBI to Dalton Village Hall Friday is not clear, but trustees we spoke to clearly feel relief.
The sun is shining today, and this is a good day for the residents of Dalton.
For the last 3 years, myself, the board members, and the residents have been feeling like no one was coming to save us.
My phone just went ballistic. Calls, and calls. They said that the FBI is at Village Hall. I'm like, oh my God. Someone has finally answered our cry.
That someone is the Federal Bureau of Investigation. A spokesperson says in a statement that the FBI was conducting court-authorized law enforcement activity in that area today. Department of Justice policy prevents the FBI from commenting on the nature of any investigation that may be occurring.
2 subpoenas was dispersed today.
I'm sure it's connected to what we've been talking about lately, how
tax dollars are being spent recklessly.
Dalton Mayor Tiffany Henyard and trustee Andrew Holmes are the focus of a civil lawsuit. It accuses Holmes of assault and Henyard of retaliation, stemming from incidents involving an economic development trip to Las Vegas last May. This week, village administrator Keith Freeman was charged in federal court with bankruptcy fraud. Chicago's former mayor and former federal prosecutor Lori Lightfoot has been hired to lead an independent investigation into the Vegas trip and more.
We are the gatekeepers of the funds that come into this village. And we're not being allowed to see what's going on with our tax dollars.
So we reached out to the village and to the mayor for comment late tonight. Earlier tonight, though, we did get an email statement, and it said very clearly there was no FBI raid at Village Hall. No further comment at this time. We are live in Dalton. Natalie Martinez, NBC5 News.
Okay, we'll be following all of the developments there in Dalton. Natalie, thank you so much.
We begin with the FBI at Dalton Village Hall. Elizabeth Matthews reports many in the south suburbs believe this is only the tip of the iceberg. Elizabeth.
John, the mayor here has been accused of misusing funds. The mayor and a trustee are being sued for an alleged sexual assault against a former village employee. The village administrator now facing bankruptcy fraud charges. And today, this afternoon, federal agents popping in Village Hall looking for some information.
The house of cards are collapsing. I think the government is taking action.
It's normally bad news when federal agents stop by a village hall looking for documents, but that's not bad news to many in Dalton.
Months and months and months, we've been begging for someone to come out here and actually investigate as to what's actually going on out here.
Video appears to show those federal agents inside Village Hall Friday afternoon, where we learned they were serving 2 subpoenas. One focuses on employment and disciplinary records of 25 Village of Dalton employees, including 3 police officers and Keith Freeman, the senior administrator recently charged with bankruptcy fraud. The other subpoena focuses on Freeman and any potential involvement with certain companies, whether or not they received any money, had business or contracts relating to the village. One trustee says Mayor Tiffany Henyard has left them in the dark for months.
Since September, we haven't received financials. And the last time we did receive financials, we were informed that we were $7 million in debt.
The Legislative Council for the Board of Trustees says the feds may have a tough time getting the documents they're requesting.
The clerk is the custodian of the records. That's the good news. The bad news is she doesn't have any records because they have taken the records away from her.
I was being told that those documents probably have been shredded weeks ago.
The news of the Fed's Friday visit even drawing a crowd near Village Hall, as many in the community support an investigation into Henyard's practices. The trustees even hiring former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot this month to investigate the Dalton mayor.
The people of Dalton want to be rescued. They know they're bleeding. And they know there's no money left, and they live there. And so what's next? Police services, fire services, water, what's next?
The FBI did confirm that they were conducting court-authorized law enforcement activity in this area today, but could not comment further. Tonight, Mayor Tiffany Henyard posting on Facebook, pointing out that this was not a so-called FBI raid here at Village Hall, also adding in a statement, quote, "To all you clowns, that's a part of the circus. Misery needs company. I pray for you all. Stop chasing fake news." Live in Dalton tonight, Elizabeth Matthews, Fox 32, Chicago.
All right. So this was a breakdown of everything that has been happening in the last couple of months, post what we were talking about on our live when I did my reactions to Tiffany Henyard and all of the shenanigans. So if you don't know what has been happening, take the time to share this comprehensive video. And what we're going to do is when we do our trending topics, we're going to come back with a reaction to everything that has been taking place. So I, Grace Levi, want to give a shout out on this note to the FBI who's starting to investigate Miss Tiffany Henyard and her clones, as well as a shout out to YouTube content creators, because without you guys actually being on this, like she said, you clowns jumping on this, I don't think it would have gotten the actual spotlight. So shout out to all of the Black content creators who now have got this in the limelight, helping the trustees of Dalton Township. Again, I want to send a shout out and love to them because I know they were in a compromising position. And to know that this is a small town that's fighting for justice, you guys, Grace Levi, send much love and blessings. And I'll see you guys on Friday.
And be comfortable if I was really as bad as they was making it. Nobody could be around me. So for me to be this calm, I must have some kind of inner peace. And my inner peace is knowing that once everybody take the time to really see what type of person I am, you'd be surprised that I stuck around this long.
I have to make the life that I do live as happy as I can, try to do the best with what I have. Live the best life I can live, be as happy as I can be. With nothing perfect for anybody.
Always, I swear, I think I figured it out. You know why they don't want us redneck brothers and sisters and the good brothers and sisters getting along? You know why? Because we be unstoppable. I'm telling you right now, we would shut shit down.
Would you like to learn a brand new and innovative way to invest your extra money that has a low barrier to entry and low competition? What if I told you that it is a guaranteed method to get up to 18 to 20% return on your investment? Tax lien and deed purchasing is the only way to get into the real estate market through the back door. No credit and no loans needed. This method isn't commonly taught, and therefore the competition is very low, for now. Put together a 14-hour info-packed course which will teach you everything you'll need to know to get started. Learn at your own pace, step-by-step guided video and aids to start you on the TLC deed investment process. The course offers many learning tools for new investors, helping ensure you safely invest in tax liens and deeds. Contact us today and join the buyback team.